Hello there YouTube, my name's Chuggy and today I am playing some Battlefield 3, playing some Team Deathmatch on Karg Island, and some Medal of Honor Warfighter playing Hotspot on Novigrad Warzone. Today guys, it is question time, part 19, and I have got more of your superb questions to answer this week, ranging from all sorts of things, from the first game I played to what I'm doing for a job. And I hope to be able to answer as many as possible in this video as normal, and if I don't get time to answer your questions in the video, I'll try and reply to them in text in the comments from the previous video. Now guys, if you don't know what question time is, it is basically me answering your great questions, and if you have a question you would like to see me answer, all you have to do is pop it down in the comment section of this video, and I'll get to answering it next question time. Now, to briefly mention the gameplay, so what's going on. First of all, you're seeing some Team Deathmatch from Karg Island. Here, basically, I am playing support. I'm running around with the M240B, one of my favourite light machine guns in Battlefield 3, and you just see me go on a bit of a tear with it. For whatever reason, I just was feeling playing the support class with a light machine gun. Normally I might have a submachine gun or something, this being Karg Island, especially it being Team Deathmatch, but no, M240B played out quite nicely for me there. And the Medal of Honor Warfighter gameplay from Hardcore Hotspot on Novigrad Warzone, I should probably say. I'm running around with the TAC 50 sniper again, and it's actually the gameplay where I got my first Apache, although due to a bug, I never actually get to use it. It gets stuck in a building, but you'll see that in a minute anyway. So yeah, having said that, I hope you enjoy the gameplays, and I'll get to answering your great questions. So question 1 this week comes from Sammy46, and they ask, can I and Tom commentate on the 6-Axis Championship? Well, the short answer, and this is perhaps more of a question, is how come I haven't been commentating on the videos I've been uploading? Well, the reason for that is that they are left raw. Commentary is done by myself, a guy called Death in Flames, and a guy called Liam. Death in Flames and Liam do commentary for the week for the group that I'm in, because I can't commentate on myself in third person, and myself and Death in Flames commentate on the second group. There are two groups, and there's just been a bit of delay of getting those videos out, but basically as soon as they are all done, I'll start putting them in the playlist, so you can actually listen to the actual commentaried versions, and we'll be using multiple angles and all sorts of cool stuff. So yeah, the reason there are no commentary on like mine or Tom's videos is that basically because they have to be left sort of empty, so you don't have like two people commentating on the same thing at once. So yeah, it's just like a raw feed, as it were, and it goes from there. So yes, I won't be directly doing it, but I will be indirectly, if you get my meaning. So thank you for the question, Sammy. Next question comes from Sneaky Dragon 22, and they ask, in Battlefield 3's campaign there's a jet, or there's a mission where you're in a two-seater jet, and their question is, would I like to see that in sort of Battlefield multiplayer? Well, the long and short of it is yes, and when the sort of Battlefield 3 premium trailer arrived, which showed off, well, it's hinted at the AC-130, everyone was going, pilot AC-130 with guns, ooh! And yeah, there was a lot of, ooh, wow, this could be quite potentially interesting. As it so happened, DICE decided to implement the AC-130 flying on a loop, as we know now, and there could have been some real issues, people just, you know, suicide flying that into stuff, but no, I would quite like to see a two-seater jet. It would require a lot of teamwork, a lot of communication, and I think it could just really make things quite neat and interesting. You know, bomber-style aircraft, that kind of thing, could really, you know, vary the battlefield up a bit, and you get a whole sort of another layer to the aerial combat, aerial battlefield in-game. So yeah, I'd like to see it. It'll be tricky to do, but I think it would work quite nicely. So thank you for the great question, Sneaky Dragon. Next question comes from Moldy Jam, and they ask, what do I think about the prospect of having a street race in New Jersey, and sort of the prospect of having more street races in the future for Formula 1? Well, the long and short of it is, I am all for that street race in New Jersey, and for those of you who don't really follow Formula 1, basically, Formula 1 has had an ambition for the last, I don't know, 20 or so years, to try and get a Formula 1 race somewhere in and around New York, and they finally were able to sort something out last year or so in New Jersey. And they have a track, they're building it and everything else. It was going to happen next year, but I think that's being pushed back by a year because they're slightly behind on the construction, or there was some disagreement in the paperwork. But no, long and short of it, I would love to see that race. Street racing is a very different kind of animal to circuit racing, just by the nature of they are roads, they're not sort of flat as a racing circuit would be. They offer up different challenges for the car, the driver, the setup, and yeah, I personally love watching street races. They tend to be a little processional, think Monaco, not many overtaking opportunities. But the thing with New Jersey is the roads are wide. And I think, or at least some of the roads are very wide, and I think you could easily get 2 or 3 cars side by side in some places. So yeah, I am really looking forward to the New Jersey race. And as long as if Bernie were going to go, right, we're going to have a new street race, as long as it's a course which is born, not created, if you get my meaning, they go, this corner would be quite good, this corner would be quite good, instead of, if we put a grandstand up here, we could get 50,000 people in. I think there could be a couple of cracking circuits just in general all over the place. I mean, there was talk a little while ago of turning the Olympic Park from the 2012 Olympics into a Formula 1 course. That would be cool. So yeah, I quite like street circuits. I think the New Jersey course, once it's there, will be cool, and as long as the circuits are put together properly rather than looked at as a money-making opportunity, I think there could be some great racing. So thank you for the great question, Moldy Jam. Good question there. Next question comes from Gear9779, and they ask, what was the first game I played? And I think I know what it is. So I first started playing sort of computer games when I was about 5 or 6, and I had one of the massive grey brick Nintendo Game Boys. And as far as I can remember, the first game I ever played on that was Tetris. So I think I would call Tetris as my first game, but I'm a little uncertain because I also played a friend's Mega Drive, Sega Mega Drive, played Sonic. But I can't remember quite when that was, so I'm going to say Tetris. Tetris is a cool game. It was back then, it still is now, and yeah, that was my first game, and I went from there. Not quite different to sort of the first-person shooters of today, but yeah, everyone has to start with that. So yeah, Tetris was my first game. Thank you, Gear, for the question. Yeah, good times. Anyway, next question comes from Elliot0520, and they ask, do I play any musical instruments, and if I do, what? Well, I don't play any musical instruments as of now, but when I was younger I used to play the keyboard a lot, and I did get quite good at it, but then due to parents getting new jobs, we had to move, so I lost my music teacher and everything else, and I never got back into it, and it's something which I have kicked myself about a lot. However, I can still play a bit, and as you'll be hearing in the very near future, I actually use some of that skill in my dissertation project. Now, for those of you who don't know what I'm saying in the near future dissertation project, I mentioned last question time that a few people asking, well, what happened to my university dissertation? I produced a game as a part of that, and I was going to make a little video series about me developing it, and I never did. I did one video and that was that. Since you guys want to see what happened next, what I'll try and do is I'll put together like a summary, a recap of what happened, and what I'd like to know actually from you guys, 2 things really. First of all, how technical you would like it, because I can go into sort of the technical ins and outs of everything I came across, so if you want it high level, I can do that. And also, if you want to actually see the game itself, that might require a bit of sorting out my end, but I can do that as well. So anyway guys, yeah, to answer the question, yeah, I used to play a musical instrument. I really should learn how to get back into the keyboard now, and I really should. It's a really neat thing to be able to do, to play a musical instrument, and actually I think I can attribute some of my sort of dexterity with my fingers on a controller to that, because obviously you're stretching around for the keys and everything else, and that helps, I think. Anyway, I digress. So yeah, I do play a musical instrument, keyboard, or did I should say, and I should get back into it. So thank you, Elliot, for the great question. Next question comes from Slot962, and they ask, what is my favourite back-to-car can map and why? And they also sort of ask, what type of map would I like to see in Battlefield which they haven't done before? So my favourite car can map is Gulf of Oman, reason being that it is quite vast. You can kind of have a little bit of everything there. You could do some long-range shooting, you've got urban combats, you've got sort of street combat where you can have vehicles and stuff. There's just a variety there, which a lot of, just in general maps don't have, and, Strike's cool because it's all urban, Gulf of Oman's cool because it's quite big, but there isn't many urban areas. I think Gulf of Oman has a little bit of everything there. Sharky's cool in its own way, but again, it's mainly street-based combat. So yeah, Gulf, just because of, it's a little more open, but you've got the urban, you've got the space for the vehicles and everything else, so yeah, I'd say that. And what, if they're going to sort of produce a new type of map for Battlefield, what would it be? That is a good question. So the thing I look for in Battlefield maps is variety, much like Gulf of Oman. And it's kind of tricky. You see, they've done the major ones. You've got your urban environments, you've got your sort of deserts, fields, snow plains. I'm just trying to think, perhaps a mountain range. Like a proper mountain range, no flat terrain at all. It's completely, a mountain. That would be quite cool. I can't think of any maps like that off the top of my head. I might be wrong, but yeah, mountain range. Yes, I'm going to say that. So yeah, there you go. Slot, thank you for the great questions. Next question comes from Dr. BCD PS3, and they ask, any chance of a tour of my new house, and what are my thoughts on the crossbow coming in Aftermath? Well, tour of the house will have to wait for a bit, because, put frankly, I don't have any furniture or anything really to show. At this point, I'm still living out of boxes. As it turns out, furniture is quite expensive, a lot more expensive than I thought it would be. So a tour will happen, it's just I've got to get myself sorted out really first. And the thoughts on the crossbow? Cool. It's going to be a gadget item, which means it will sort of replace like grenade launcher, tugs, C4, which can give a lot of versatility to the kits. It could completely rewrite some kits. I mean, for instance, I could see myself using the crossbow purely as a recon, because then I can attack vehicles, which you haven't been able to do. You haven't had C4, so that would be cool. It's going to be interesting to see how they balance it in sort of the vanilla game, but I have faith. I mean, crossbows have been put into first-person shooters. In fact, when you think of it, a lot of the games coming out in the near future have got crossbows in them. Think Far Cry, Assassin's Creed, Crysis 3, all got crossbows. They're in fashion. Anyway, yeah, I'd like to. I'm looking forward to the crossbow and the opportunities it could give off. Anyway, I'll digress before I start getting to the finer points of crossbow balance, but never mind. Thank you, Dr. BCD PS3, for the great question. Next question comes from Arrow4LM, and they ask, would I ever consider switching to PC? What keeps me sort of playing on console? Well, I kind of have switched to PC. I do have a PC rig now, and I'm just playing it to get used to sort of keyboard and mouse. But the reason I've stuck with console is twofold. Basically, I can play all my games, I've got a bookshelf here with all of the PlayStation games I own, and I could put any of them into my PS3. Actually, no, that's a lie. I can't put the PS2 ones in now. I used to be able to when I had the launch fat PS3, but not anymore. I could play all of these games, basically. I've got this massive library of games. I don't know why I just pointed at it. You wouldn't be able to see that, but I've got this library of games I could go and play, and that's cool. The reason also I like just playing on console is that, at least as I was growing up, it was a bit more social. I was able to have a friend round from the school or something, and we would be able to play split screen, whereas PC was expensive, it wasn't really sorted out for games, and I've just got kind of used to that, to be honest. Now, PC gaming has come a long way, and certainly, I was playing Left 4 Dead, for instance, last night with a friend of mine. We were having a whale of a time. But yeah, I'm just kind of stuck with the console for now. I wouldn't say stuck with it. I'm going to stay with the console for now. My PC learning experience has been interesting. Not only is sort of getting used to the control method a bit of a challenge, but also the players. You'd be surprised how different playing Battlefield on PC to Battlefield on PS3 is. Like, for one, just the number of players, you see so many more guys hiding in corners and stuff. It's quite surprising. Anyway, that's perhaps something for another video. Perhaps once I get myself sorted out with some way to capture from my PC, but yeah, or a better way to capture from my PC. I've had a few problems, but yeah. Yeah, I'm sticking with console just because I'm more used to it, but I do have a PC, and you will be seeing stuff from that eventually once I get things sorted out. So yeah, thank you for the great question, Arrow. Great question indeed. Next question comes from Michael Elving and also Peter Beatty, and they ask, do I have a job? And if so, where do I work? Well, for various reasons I can't say where I work. That was part of the reason why I sort of had a little mini absence a few weeks back. But what I can say is what I do, and I am a software engineer. And what that means in English is basically I write computer programs. And software engineer is kind of like a vague term. It's like you say you're a car mechanic. You can specialise in the engine, the suspension, the chassis, safety, testing. And within that, I'm kind of in testing and development. So that's all I can say. For various reasons I can't say anymore. So hopefully that answers your questions, and there is a reason I'm vague. A very good reason anyway. There we go, thank you for the questions. Next question comes from Yurts1, and they ask, on a scale from 1 to jizzing my pants, how excited am I for Grand Theft Auto 5? I'm excited, perhaps not to that extent. Rockstar, Game Informer, had a load of information about the game which came out last week, and it looks nothing but awesome. There'll be a trailer this week. Let me just get my facts right. It'll be on Wednesday, so the same day this video comes out, so keep an eye out for that. Yeah, it looks cool. It looks really, really neat. It looks like it's kind of going back to a bit of the less serious but also a lot of things to do as well in the game, so it looks cool. Very excited for it. Perhaps not to that extent. I'd give myself maybe a 9 out of jizzing my pants. I don't know. Interesting metric of scaling. Anyway, thank you, Ertz, for the great question. Next question comes from Nick AW1, and they ask, what is my favourite alcoholic beverage? Well, I'm kind of boring. I do like a good lager, and when I was out in Belgium earlier this year on holiday, I just sampled some Belgian beers, and they just blew everything I'd drunk previously out the water. It's so smooth, such great sort of flavours and tastes and stuff. So yeah, lager, and in particular Belgian lager, I'm quite a fan now. Thank you for the question. Next question comes from the Soul, and this is a really interesting question, and they asked, do I reckon that first-person shooters are getting a bit repetitive? And I can answer that by saying no, because I think that what we know as first-person shooters today aren't what first-person shooters were. What I would say, and I think this has been echoed by a few other people, is really what we've had a combination of is modern shooters and the first-person shooter combined. They're kind of similar in terms of modern shooters with, modern, realistic weaponry, authentic, whatever. But, if you think back to first-person shooters from back in the 90s, Quake, Doom, they were kind of sci-fi-ish a bit. And the first person, they were shooting, but they had different aspects to them. And I think we've just seen these two genres kind of merge. Now, yeah, I would say because of that merging, a lot of the stuff is basically the same. Let's face it, not much new military technology comes out in a yearly iteration like we see games do. Like a jet fighter takes 20 or 30 years to develop. Like the Eurofighter Typhoon, that started to be developed in the 80s and only came out a few years ago. So yeah, it has kind of come a bit repetitive, but if you look at sort of the first-person, let's just say first-person style of gamers, my Apache spawns in the skyscraper thing there, and that was very disappointing. They are getting a bit repetitive just because the weapons and everything are the same. What can you do without new tools? But, you see games, like for instance, you've got War of the Roses and stuff, which isn't a first-person shooter, it's like a medieval first-person, well, I guess hack and slash, because you've got swords and stuff, but, yeah, it's, they are kind of getting a bit repetitive, but you can't really do much when the tools haven't changed much, I guess. So anyway, great question, and I think it's more interesting to think about how two genres have kind of merged where they weren't previously. So, I digress. Great question, The Soul. Thank you very much for it. Next question comes from Neil Kabitz, and they ask, would I rather fight 100 duck-sized horses or 1 duck-sized horse? Hang on, no, I've got that the wrong way around. Fight 100 duck-sized horses or 1 horse-sized duck. Now, I have heard this question before, and I have heard someone else's answer to it. But I will always go with the 100 duck-sized horses, right? Because a duck, yeah, the horse will be quick, yeah, there'll be a lot of them, yeah, they're, the horses, but I could, jump on them or something. If you've got 1 horse-sized duck, that is a big thing. It could probably sit on you or something. So yeah, I would probably just kick duck-sized horses. I don't know. I'm just going to sound really cruel here, aren't I? So yeah, I would fight the lots of small little things rather than the one big thing which would probably sit on me. Thank you, dear, for the great question. Dear. Next question comes from Turbo Child, and they ask, what do I think about Gran Turismo 5 and how they make sort of one-off paid DLCs, car packs, that kind of thing, and do I think they should be focusing on on the next game? Well, they are making the next game. That was kind of leaked when a couple of sort of circuit scanning guys turned up at Bathurst, which is a racetrack down in Australia, one of my favourites, if not my favourite, and basically said, yeah, we're scanning this for Gran Turismo 6. They're probably just doing a bit on the side. I think that the DLC that has been released for Gran Turismo 5 has all in all been really cool. Like the test speed track, the high speed track, was really useful for doing some of my setup stuff for some of the cars, for some races I did online, that kind of thing. Yeah, I do think they need to focus on Gran Turismo 6. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a launch title for the PlayStation 4, and yeah, I think we're just going to have to see what happens. To be honest, I really loved GT5. I know a lot of people had some criticisms of it. The thing I'd perhaps change is the user interface a bit. It was a little tricky to navigate at times, but the driving was good, and that's what was important to me, I'll say. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the next GT game. I hope that they are well on the way in developing it, and yes, I've liked what they've done with the DLC. So there we go. Thank you very much, TurboChild, for the great question. Next question comes from 81 Werewolf, and they ask, what do I want to see in Battlefield 4? Well, frankly, I think Battlefield 4 is really going to be sort of a code name for Battlefield for next generation consoles. I would not be surprised if it's basically a load of new maps and everything else, but just basically updated so next gen consoles could have like say 64 players and everything else. Basically, what I want to see from the next Battlefield game is more of the same sort of style of shooting and everything else, but with less of the bugs and the annoyances and stuff like that. Vague, I know, but that is what I'm after, really. And I think that's what a lot of people are after as well. So thank you 81 Werewolf for the question. Next question comes from Blown Tire, and they ask, would I do sort of a Let's Play series of games that you guys request? And the short answer is yeah, I would. I would seriously consider any sort of Let's Play that you guys request. You know, I'd have to have a look to see if it's feasible and that kind of thing. But yeah, definitely, if you have anything that you'd like me to have a go at, feel free to suggest it. And I've done this plenty in the past, and I'm more than happy to do so again in the future. So yeah, Blown Tire, suggest away if you have something you'd like me to have a look at. Next question comes from LC Green Day 99X, and they ask, would I recommend buying Medal of Honor Warfighter? And is it something I play over and over again like Battlefield 3? Yeah, I definitely would recommend it. I think the reviews are way too harsh. And yeah, the multiplayer is really enjoyable. There's a lot of skill-based actually to it, and I appreciate that. I enjoy that. Single player, finish the single player. It's a pretty good story. The AI and a few bits were a bit dodgy, but yeah, I would recommend it. And certainly, you know, if it goes into like a bargain bin and it's like half price or something, definitely go and get it. I've really enjoyed my time with it, and I think that's all I can really say. Now, unfortunately, I have run out of time, and normally I'd have, you know, a slightly longer video, but I'm in a little push for time this week. So what I'll do for the rest of the questions, as normal, is I'll answer them in text form in the comment section of Question Time Part 18. But as always, guys, thank you so very much for your awesome questions. I've really had a great selection of questions this week. And again, if you want to add yours, just pop them down in the comment section of this video and I'll get to answering them next time. So anyway guys, as always, thank you very much for watching. If you could leave a like, dislike, whatever you believe this video deserves, that'd be fantastic. If you have any questions you'd like to answer me, please do feel free to pop it down in the comments below. And if you're new to my videos and want to see more, you can always subscribe. So anyway guys, I've been Chuggy, thank you so very much for watching, and I'll see you next time, out on the battlefield.